I want to ask this question to the fan base down below because we know that we have the worst defense in the NFL. And so I want to hear what everybody thinks. Did the Lions mess up by trading up to take an injured wide receiver instead of addressing defensive needs at the time? I want to throw your comments up on the screen. Eric, I want to get your thoughts on this while I'm getting some stuff put in because I have my own thoughts that I've shared on this show before.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. And it's a fair question. I saw a lot of this discussion on social media, especially on Twitter. I'm going to say no, it was not a mistake. If we remember how bad this receiving core was, it was even before last year, it was one of the worst in the entire NFL. Jared Goff was literally out there throwing to ducks and high school kids. He didn't have nothing to work with. So, considering how bad and how much they help that they needed, because even if you look at Jared Goff and how he played with the Rams at that point when he was in LA, he was loaded with talent around him at the wide receiver position. He had receivers that he could rely on and a Todd Gurley in his absolute prime. So if you want to get the best out of Jared Goff, that's what you need to do. And I think they're doing that now. And you see by how well this offense is playing.
For sure.
I don't think it was necessarily a mistake. I do think that we are finally seeing how bad this defense truly is. But to say that trading up for JMO when that was a huge position in need, where his upside is still out of this world, he still complements the rest of the offense perfectly around him. I
Yeah.
don't think it was a mistake necessarily, but it's going to be exhausting watching this defense all season based on that.
Yeah, I mean, you score 45 points in an NFL football game, you should expect to win that football game.
No
And
question.
for whatever reason, they didn't make any splashes during free agency. They tried to address it during the draft, but, like, Josh Paschal hasn't been on a single he hasn't made any type of impact being a second round pick. I was very happy, however, to see Kirby Joseph in the lineup on Sunday.
Yes.
And
Made some
my
nice plays too.
he did make some nice plays, and my brother and I definitely kept, like, looking at him like, "Okay, where's he lined up? How's he playing?"
Hmm.
He give up
Yep.
that first touchdown, which I understand. All he had to do was get his head around on that first touchdown, he didn't, but this defense is a mess, and I don't wanna harp on the Jameson Williams pick, okay? Ricky, thank you for tuning in, Ricky. That
Did you
water is
dry off yet, bro? Come on, get that towel ready.
water was cold, and I don't wanna but, what's cold too is the talent level on the defense, and
Facts.
that was very, very clear on Sunday. I don't want to harp on Jameson Williams. I understand the reasoning of going and getting him. The
Mhm.
value I go back to was not great, but I'm not going to criticize a guy that hasn't even taken a snap yet.
Mhm.
Could that have been used in a different sense? Yeah, it probably should have been used to address the defense. But this defense, I don't think one player picked at number 12 in the first round was really going to make that big of a difference on Sunday.
I don't think so.
They were, I don't know, you watched on TV. Tell me what you saw, and then I'll tell you what I saw being at the game.
It was a whole lot of whiffing. It was a whole lot of misdirection. It was a whole lot of over pursue. It was a whole lot of eagerness off that defensive line. And Geno Smith in that offense saying, "Are you going to do this every time? Okay, Rashad Penny, here you go. Okay, let me just sit back and wait. Okay, let me go scramble up for 8 yards." Like Geno Smith, we saw him. First of all, I didn't know Geno Smith was leading the league in completion percentage. I had no idea until yesterday. And then he still lights it up with the numbers that he put up, along with 50 yards rushing on top of that. It was absolutely brutal. And I, at least from the mindset, thought that if you at least had a persistent and aggressive defensive line, that you could at the very least make up for your back end. We saw some promise with the linebackers. You can see a little bit of promise with some of the DBs, but the D line is really where you're going to establish your rush. And we're going to talk plenty about Hutch. He didn't really make much of an impact. McNeil, I think, has been really disappointing so far, and they haven't really had the plethora of S rushers with Paschal. Quara, I think, was been hurt for a good portion of the season. So they're just now starting to get some of those guys back, plus Charles Harris, and they're really, really lacking at this point. Real quick before you go, I was talking to my friend, and again, I brought up the idea of bringing in and going all in for a Lamar Jackson. After seeing how bad this defense is now, you don't have the resources and the ability to go make that kind of move anymore. I'm
No.
totally off of that. I'm completely off of that idea at this point.
Totally off of that, and I want to address something as well. Like last week, I was pretty tough on Jared Goff.
Yeah.
but I wanna give the man props.
Got to. You have
Listen,
to.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's the future of this franchise, and I will be very upset, and I will not get off a high horse if they sign him to any type of extension.
Mhm.
But to do what he did with that receiving core yesterday, I still don't think he was great yesterday. I mean, there was an out route that he stared down that was nearly a pick in the second quarter that would have
I know
killed
you're
that
talking.
drive. And
Yep.
then there was that long toss to Khalif Raymond to 3 Seahawks defenders that should have also been an interception. And then also the pick six. But when you go 29 for 30, 26 for 39, I think is the correct one, for 378 and 4 touchdowns with that receiving cast, like, he played a good game, and
Mhm.
you're gonna read all about it in my highs and lows tomorrow because Jared Goff, even though I gave him a low last week, he definitely is going to get a high this week
No
because
question.
he deserved it. To one of our contributors' points, who we go back and forth on golf all the time, golf is the reason that they were in that game. And
Yes.
so I'm going to definitely 100% give him credit for at least doing what he needed to do to at least keep them in the game.